No, the other day, so I go to my parents' house, and my dad's like, yo, check this out, right? And he grabs these ladders and starts putting them on the. I didn't know. I haven't been to the crib in a minute, and it's been my dad's dream for like mad long to like put something on the roof, and everyone's like, "You're crazy. What are you gonna?" And he was like, "No, we got it." So they, this was on the roof. We put these ladders up, and I was like, "Oh shit, we got to shoot the pod here, right?" And so I started talking to. We only have one mic, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm gonna be like, what?
How convenient.
And so I was like, we should do it on the roof. And then this is why I know that we are cut from the same cloth. It's because I was like, Egypt, are you scared of heights? And what'd you say?
Absolutely.
And then I said, do you want to still do it on the roof? And you said,
absolutely.
That's what I'm fucking talking about.
Make no mistake, baby, you fucking with the best of them. My elevator couple knock the snot about the rest of them. So if you doubt the kid got hard up in his chest pops, you got me fucked up like ex-cops and gem pop.
Tell us about the fit real quick.
Oh my gosh. So today I kind of wanted to be chill.
This is you chill? All right, well, if anyone thought that we're going to get stunted on by Egypt, the modern icon.
Like on a roof, I wanted to wear like a little turtleneck. I'm super big on accessories, so like my accessories are literally like always the most important part of my outfit. And then you wear a statement piece. So I go basic, statement, accessories. So this would be my statement piece.
Basic, statement, accessories. Yeah. God damn. Okay, well, listen, I am here with Egypt Smith, the modern icon. This is episode 9 of the Chris Gabo show. It's happening. It's happening. Yo, I appreciate you. It's funny, man. We've been talking about doing this for a minute.
Yes, we have.
We actually, also, I want everyone to know that this is a metaphor about sharing. So we can tell Royal, we're like, it's good to share, right? And we can show an example because I started the show only 3 weeks ago. I started in LA. And in LA, I have like an interface that's a little more complicated, and I have 2 mic inputs. And then I decided I need to sell that interface so I can pay for other shit. And then so I found the smaller one, and I was like, okay, it's cool to travel with, and I had it in my bag. And then when I got here, literally this morning, as I had just about to bring you up these stairs, I was like, yo, this actually only has one input. So yeah, so we are going to be sharing.
Thankfully, we're not strangers.
Yeah, we're going to get like this, then it was like Wicked. We're like, loathing, I'll be loathing. Yeah, motherfuckers don't know I can sing. Okay, musical theater. How's it going? This is the holiday season. You have a 3-year-old. How's everything going? How's your week?
It's insane. Literally every 5 minutes he sees something and he goes, Mommy, can you buy this for me? And I go, sure. And then he goes, don't forget, order it, Amazon. So that's like Amazon is his favorite place right now. He knows Amazon and Target. That's all he cares about. Like whenever we go outside, he's like, are we going to Target? And I'm like, no. And he's like, are you going to be on Amazon? And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, I want toys. So that's his entire existence is Amazon and Target right now.
Yo. The Amazon, I'd never met a 3. Okay, here's the thing. I got to be honest with you. I don't know much about kids. My friends in LA, shout out Hisham and Renee, friends of the show. Shout out Amina, baby, a friend of the show. That's the only baby I've seen made from scratch, right?
Oh my God. Wait, because I always say that to him every day. Like when I wake him up and kiss him, I'm like, guess what? He's like, you made me from scratch. Like that's our thing. I swear to you. Like I kid you not. So that was so crazy that you said that because he will literally tell you like, my mommy made me from scratch.
Yo,
it's so funny, but he loves saying it. Like,
shout out the dad that didn't get mentioned there. You see that? Men's rights. What happened? This mic thing is gonna work.
I think it's. Wow.
This is like a LL Cool J is hard at. You know what I'm saying? This is we are live in Queens, New York, so it's a good time to say all I need is one mic. You know what I mean? So. It's the holidays. You're about to go to Georgia, right?
Yeah, I'm going back home to Georgia.
Home? Yo, that just hurt me a little bit. Where are you from, modern icon, Egypt Smith?
I'm from New York, Harlem, New York to be exact, but Georgia has become a version of home. New York is always going to be home, but Georgia is home.
Please stop the podcast right now and meditate. Do 3 ohms. So Wait. Okay. See, here's the thing, man. I didn't actually really know. Was it so? You have family there?
No.
Wow. Sometimes home is not where the heart is. Where? Wait. Tell me. Tell me about the Georgia trip. How did this happen? Because we met in what year did we meet?
10 years ago. So, yeah. It was 10. We're old as heck.
And you're 26 now.
Yeah.
I'm 34. You were 16? How old was I? I guess. Oh, sorry. I shouldn't make you do math. You're 20. No. I was like, I guess like 24. That makes sense. Like 24. Oh my God. We were so young. And we're still young, okay? Yo, come on. I mean, yeah, well, you're literally, I identify as youthful, but I am 34 years old, you know? 'Cause we met 10 years ago, and we've kept in touch, via.
You mentioned Come Felix.
Yo, shout out Come Felix.
Love you, Come On.
No, Come introduced us because you were thinking about studying acting, and I had just finished the Maggie Flanagan program. We started talking about that, and we just became friends. We went to see a play together. I remember that.
Like a table read in like your place.
Oh shit!
Yes, we did.
We did do that. Oh man, and that was wow. So yeah.
I have the script. I still literally have it in my house.
Are you still
New York house where everything is safe? I swear to you.
Are you still trying to act?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My son is actually acting now too, so he just got casted for a pilot on BET Plus. So we're really excited about that.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yo, shout out Royal. Shout out, yeah, come on.
But yeah, I'm so proud of him. He's like such a star in his own right. I don't know where he gets it from, but
it's obvious, friends and family, where he gets it from.
No, yeah, like he's a superstar. He loves entertaining. Like his first few words, he was like singing the Bubble Guppy song. So he's always been singing, trying Bubble Guppies. Like that's his jam. The show, the cartoon. I will not sing it.
I was not gonna have you sing it, although. You understand.
Oh yeah, you're so removed from the kid realm. Yeah. So it's like a cartoon. So he loves Bubble Guppies. He loves Blaze and the Monster Machine. So he's like always singing the theme songs. Like he's a theme song kid. After the theme song, he starts the show over again to hear the theme song. He doesn't want to watch the show itself.
Okay, so this is an interesting moment because I think Royal and I have something in common, other than being youthful. Because my wife, she hates theme songs. And we're watching stuff, she goes, skip. And I'm like, babe, someone wrote that.
I'm going to skip the intro every time. He's like, Mommy, play it again. So now we just go on YouTube and I put in like the name of the show and theme song so he can just watch that on a loop instead of having to rewind it several times.
You know what we should do? We should get some way. If Reef Loretto is listening to this episode, we should get you said Bubble Gumpy?
Bubble Guppies. On
Bubble Guppy. Wow, I can't. We should get the Bubble Guppy theme song and remix it. Just do an extended remix for Royal.
He would lose his mind. Like, he would flip shit. He would go crazy. His godmother actually, for his birthday, she got the Paw Patrol like to send him this birthday voice message. So it's like, hey guys, it's Chase from the Paw Patrol. Happy birthday, Royal. He's like, Mom, it's Chase. Like he lost his mind.
So that's basically like Cameo for children.
He lost his entire mind. He was so excited.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so you guys are going, okay, wait, hold on. I need to know a little more about the Georgia thing. So so if it's 2024 now, 2021, did you buy a house or what happened?
Yeah, 2022, September 2022. Roy was born in 2021, April 19th, so he's an Aries.
Yo, 420. When he's our age, he's going to be like, he's going to shift his birthday up to, sorry.
He was supposed to be a Taurus, but he came out a little early. He was an active child, so he actually punctured his own sack and made my water break because he was moving a lot. So that's my dancing baby. Yeah. He's crazy.
Shout out the dancing babies. Yo. So what made you make the move to Georgia?
I had lived in Georgia before, like in my teenage years. My junior year of high school, I went down there for a brief period of time. Hated it then. Of course, I'm in high school. Like, I'm coming from New York, taking the train and the bus every day, to getting on the school bus in Georgia as a junior in high school. I was devastated. Like, it was just too much. And you know, like the whole school bus rules, don't sit in this person's seat. It's the middle of the year. I didn't have time for that. So I hated it. I begged my mom to bring me back. She brought me back. And as I became an adult, I started like going there to party, and I started going there for work. And then I had clients here, and it just became like a life for me. And like, I don't know if you guys know this, but Georgia is built So they say on this crystal, like this stone. So that's why creatives gravitate towards there and like flourish creatively, because it's like this. I don't know the name of the stone, but you can Google it, and it's like literally like what it's built on. So that's why it's like so hyper creative. So I just felt like really alive when I went there, and I was like, I got to go back. I found a beautiful home that I loved. Purchased my first home, and I'm actually about to purchase my second home.
Second home at 26? Clap, 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 clap. I gotta put a little. One day when I have the full setup, I'm gonna be like, you know what I mean?
Hopefully next time we come together, we can do it in like my house.
Yo,
That would be sick.
in Georgia?
Yeah, I have a content room I'm almost done with. So, yeah.
When you say Georgia, Atlanta?
No, so I'm out of Atlanta. I'm a little further out. I'm in like Lawrenceville.
How far is that from Atlanta for the people who don't know?
Depends on who's driving. 45 minutes an hour. Some may say 2 hours. Me, I say 30 minutes. But, it depends. Depends in the traffic.
This is not legal advice.
Yeah, do not take...
Yo. So when you say you used to party in Georgia, do you mean Atlanta, or do you mean Lawrenceville, or?
No, I mean like COVID, when nobody was supposed to be partying, I was in Atlanta in the clubs. In the club, we all fam. I was there then.
In Atlanta, though?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I have not been to Atlanta in a long time. I went there on tour once in like, man, I think I was in high school. Something like that. I think I played the drunken.
I'm there, so you got to come back now. Like,
Hey.
you have to.
Listen, I would kill to play a show in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So, and do you have a lot of friends there now?
In Atlanta?
Yeah.
I have a nice group of people I'm really like working with and collaborating with. Like my friends' friends are in New York, and my bestest friend in the whole entire world, she's in North Carolina, so she's not too far.
North Cackalack. I love the Carolinas. When I was like really doing the indie rap thing back in the day, I had an agent who he kind of stranded me. We wrote a contract and he literally like left me in Georgia. But in the and I had to like hitchhike my way back to Florida. But the tour that like kind of went.
Say that so casually, like I had to hitchhike my what? Excuse me?
Yeah, but we were doing a wagon wheel tour of the Carolinas. So you know what a wagon wheel tour is like.
I was about to say, as if I know what that is.
So it's like, like a wagon wheel is like there's a thing in the center and then the spokes. So basically it's like you kind of go home to the same place every night, but then every day you drive like 2 hours. So I think we were like in Greenville or something, and then we would like drive to Charlotte, come back, drive to, I don't know, it was like Raleigh, Asheville, some shit like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I love the Carolina. My parents lived out there for a little bit. Yeah, damn. Okay, Georgia. Are you trying to, is it like a permanent-ish move? Because you say you're about to get rid of your spot here? Or?
No, so I'm actually, stop pleasing.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not getting rid of it, but I won't be here full time. My son is also starting school and all of the things, and he's filming out there. So Georgia is home right now.
Damn. Well, well,
I'm not mad about it. I think as I've gotten older, like I really appreciate it. Besides the fact that like I have so much space, and I was always the person who never wanted a big house. I'm like, an apartment, I need to see where people are coming in and out of. But I really enjoy it. My son enjoys it. He gets to like play in the backyard and have all of the things. So I love giving him a life better than I had. New York life is really cool, but just like home life, because I want him to be so comfortable in his home. He has everything in his house. He has a game room. He has a movie theater. Like he literally has all of the things. So it's just like he loves home.
Royal. It's in the name.
No, literally, he never lets me forget it.
Yo, I have a question for you.
Okay, I have an answer.
How many people do you think you actively right now have beef with?
I don't have beef with anybody now. If people have beef with me, that's another question.
I love that answer. And the reason I'm asking everybody, this is going to become like a Chris Gabo show staple, because I did the math the other day. I was like, damn, I have beef with like a lot of people. Like I did the math, and I was like, in terms of like people I'm like actively not talking to and they know why, I'm like 10. Is that a big number or a small number?
It's a small number, but here's the thing.
How can you say that when you're number 0? I want to be like you. I want to be peaceful.
Because it's one-sided, right? So it's just like a lot of people can have all types of issues with me, but they don't hold currency in my mind, so I don't even know that they exist. Like, I'm a serial stop fucking with you-er.
See, this is the difference between me and you. This is why actually, like, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm trying to get like you. I mean that literally, because I need peace in my life, bro. Like, my shit is not, it might be, honestly, that like it's one-sided on my part. Like, it might be that, like, okay, there's, like, people that I'm not fucking with, and they're like, oh, who is that guy? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to do my 12 steps on that. It's,
I'm an Aquarius. I literally don't have the capacity to give a fuck past, like, the end of the day.
See, here's the thing. I don't quite know what that means. Like, because I hang out with, you know, artsy motherfuckers, I, like, pretend to know about astrology. I know that I'm a Libra.
Actually, we're so in sync. We're super aligned. We're both air signs. We get along really, really well. That makes so much sense.
Why? To explain this.
Okay, so we're air signs, right? Don't ask me anything past that, but we're air signs. And we really just get along. So it's like Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini are air signs. So all of us kind of just like rock out really well. We're super aligned. We get each other. We all have like the spirit of detachment. And we do it really, really well. And we're like super honest, super straightforward, cut the fat, get to it. So yeah, that's like our thing.
Damn. It's interesting. I sometimes wonder if astrology is meant for you to sort of like seek the description that you're looking for. You know what I mean? But when sometimes someone will describe something, and look, this is what I know about people who believe in astrology. They're all really beautiful and they're all very smart. And so if they say something, what happened? We are on the roof, ladies and gentlemen, with one microphone, and we are. Caroline was like, "Get back to your fucking mark, bro." Shout out Caroline Mariko Stucky, who is producing this episode. It's no. I was just saying about astrology that like any way that you can like interpret your place in the world is helpful.
I have limits though. Like, I have limits to what I believe with astrology. So it's kind of weird because, like, some days I read my horoscope and it'll be like something terrible is about to happen to me. I'm like, girl, she don't know what she's talking about. But if it says I'm about to get some money, I'll be like, exactly, like, you get it. So it really just depends. Like, I really receive what I choose to receive. And I just leave there what I choose not to receive. So, yeah.
That's the most honest astrology take I've ever heard. Yeah, correct.
Grades I get. Like, I'm super into retrogrades. We're in a retrograde right now. And it makes a lot of things make sense for me sometimes. I have a lot of friends. A lot of my friends are super spiritual. I think I'm more, like, energy-based with my spirituality. So I'm super big on, like, who I let into my home. When somebody leaves my home, like, I'm super big on cleansing my space, getting their energies out of there. Don't leave no spirit that was on you in my house. But right now we're in a retrograde. We have them a few times a year. And in this retrograde specifically, Pluto is in Aquarius, which means like a lot of old things are resonating. Exes are popping back up. People are trying to spin the block of sorts. Yeah. So yeah. And it made so much sense because literally like somebody tried to spin the block me the other day and I was like, not today, Satan. It's a retrograde. I know what's going on. Catch me when it's over.
Do you want to tell us about that?
I don't.
All right. I'm not going to call my dear friend here a liar on national television on YouTube, but that's when you were like, I have beef with 0 people. I was like, I don't believe you, but no.
They have the beef with me. I'm literally just like living, breathing every day. I sleep great every night, like literally great. But there is a few people, if you say my name, they may twist their face. But that has nothing to do with me. That's a them thing.
All right. Honesty hours on the Chris Gabo show. Okay. So how many people do you think have beef with you, one-sided?
I wouldn't know. Because you never know what you can do to tick somebody off, right? Like, you don't know what people's trigger points are. I think most people's issue with me is because I don't care to press the issue. Like, people hate how quickly I just get the fuck on. Like, I'm going to get the fuck on so fast before we even, like, break it down. I feel like a lot of things at this big age, we don't have to explain. If you did some weird shit, you're weird. Leave me alone. If you did some phony shit, you're phony. Leave me alone. And I'm just going to remove myself. So it's just like a lot of the times people's issue is not a hardcore beef. It's just like she won't even speak about it. And it's just like, I don't know how many words I have left on this earth. I'm not wasting them talking about some miscellaneous stuff.
Man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. How is it working right now with the mic back and forth? I think it works. I think it works great. When I do this, if you do me a favor, you can just lean in a tiny bit. That's it. Just because I want to get, yes, ma'am?
Your sounds, acknowledge the sound so that way it's
Okay. We are, just so everyone knows, we are live in Queens, New York with one microphone.
Couldn't tell by the train.
Yo, we got, I don't know if it's Amtrak, we got something above us. We got some construction going on. But this is our first episode, first of all, with real cameras. Our first episode in New York City.
He pulled out all the stops for me, guys. So whoever didn't have the real cameras.
That's 100% true. No, man, I really, it's interesting, this thing you say. So when you said we're in a retrograde, I know the term Mercury retrograde. Is it a different planet?
One of them. Yeah, so the retrograde planets change all the time. This one happens to be in Pluto.
What does it mean when Pluto's in retrograde?
Well, it's Pluto in Aquarius. So the retrograde is...
We're just going to let that train pass because you're about to explain some ill shit, and we're just holding for train. Holding. Wrap it up, buddy. All right, now we're here.
Yeah, so this one specifically is Pluto in Aquarius. I don't know the schedule of like how they, alternate and come about, but I know this one is Pluto in Aquarius. So, Pluto is the forgotten planet most times. So it's more so about like things you forgot about and people you forgot about resurfacing, coming back and doing their thing. But it being in Aquarius is so easy to detach from because Aquarius are natural detachers. So, yeah, we're putting up the good fight right now.
It's interesting, man. You know how people will say like, "Oh, I didn't believe in God," and then they almost fall off the. I'm not gonna say roof because that's bad luck today. But if they, something happens to them near death, and then they go, "Okay, now I'm Christian or now I'm Muslim or whatever." Like people convert to Islam in jail or whatever. Like something happens to them. I feel like I didn't quite believe in astrology until people started explaining retrogrades to me, and then I was like, "Oh my."
It makes sense.
It's particularly to hear about a retrograde right now is
it making sense? See, Mercury retrograde is usually a shit show. We're not in a Mercury retrograde right now, but Mercury is always like when life is just like the hardest and you're trying to fight through the tunnel. So people are like, oh fuck, we're in a Mercury retrograde. But right now we're not, so it's not as like intense, but it can be pretty daunting depending on who it's affecting directly. But they all hit different. But I always, like, when I find out we're in one, I'm like, that makes sense why this is that. And it also can be me making an excuse for shitty behavior. I don't know.
For other people's shitty behavior?
And sometimes my own. Sometimes my own as well. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, I did this because we're in a retrograde, duh. Like,
yo. You are, can I tell you, I think you are one of the most, like, here's the thing. All artists, right? Their personality is their first form. They might not acknowledge it, but your personality is your first piece of art. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm like, skill is one thing, and skill is important. But when I meet someone and I'm like, I can just tell, I'm like, bro, whatever you've been working on, whatever you've been cooking for 26 years, 34 years, it's on your face, on your body, on your, like, the way you speak. I'm not into it, so I don't want to see your painting. I don't want to see your acting or whatever. And I just think that you have one of the most beautiful spirits, one of the most beautiful personalities. No, I really do.
Thank you. It's so crazy because I always say people like, you guys are so fucking lucky. I can't sing. Like, he couldn't give me everything, but you are so lucky I can't sing because I would be tearing you up. But I got the gift of acting, so we're going to just rock with that. But if I do get a singing coach and get past just humming, watch out.
Let me tell you something. Everybody can sing. And everybody can rap if you try. Those are when people say like, look, if I heard, as a friend, like it's fucked up to encourage someone to do something that you're like they're gonna fall on their face. Like you shouldn't tell me, Chris, you should start. I don't know, tightrope walking is like your man's not gonna excel at that. But like I don't know, because I wasn't always good at any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like my own voice as a singer, as a rapper until like today, and I've been making records for 17 years. You know what I'm saying? So like it when I hear your voice, I go like, yeah, if you wanted to sing, if you wanted to rap, whatever, like those things are things that can be extremely learned. Have you ever tried to sing or to rap or to like?
Yeah, I tried to rap back in the day. Here we get the cliche story. I was writing poetry and I started rapping from that. I went to theater arts high school, so when it was time for us to sing in our audition, because we had to sing, act, and dance, I rapped instead.
Would you rap?
I rapped a Drake song back then. I might be too strong on confidence. Oh, we're those on confidence. Trying not to give a fuck. But we're not going to talk about Drake today. We're not. But that was a song I rapped at the time. And I used to love like just putting words together. Like I like writing in general, like writing stories, plays, anything with writing I'm in love with. But as life progressed and acting was really my passion, I think for me, like I said, my niche is that I have no niche because I literally enjoy doing so many things. Like I'm such an onion. So in the broad spectrum of things, I would love to act and get really famous for acting and then swing into a bunch of other things. But I just love entertaining. When I was younger, I loved being in front of the camera so much and doing all of the things. And then as I got older and got into like brand management and marketing, I realized how much I loved being behind the camera and how much work it goes to formulating an artist. So now I'm kind of like, do I want to be like an A&R? Do I want to do artist development? Like, because I enjoy that so much, just building the brand from the ground up, like that's just super cool to me. So.
Well, it's interesting because I'm sort of having the opposite journey where like part of the reason why I started this show was I was like, okay, I've spent 17 years getting really ill on like the art side. I don't know nothing about marketing, selling nothing. Like I couldn't sell a glass of water to myself in the desert. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, okay. It's this thing of being like I had this kind of realization the other day where this is like the part of me that I was talking to myself as somebody else.
Like it's necessary to talk to the man in the mirror. I do it all the time.
I personally shout out Eden Mary Show, friend of the show. Shout out Brooklyn. Like it really, my friend Eden, who one day you'll meet. Oh, okay. I thought you said you met for a second. I was like, yeah, Eden Mary Show. This dude is honestly like, he's the only man in my whole life who has ever called me little bro, and it was actually out of love. It wasn't trying to sun me in any way. And
So New York. When has little bro not become a term of love or endearment in New York City? You can say you good, and somebody be like, "What you mean am I good? Are you good?" Like it gets so intense so fast.
I'm from Florida, ladies and gentlemen. But yes. No, it's funny. Like I recently, because let me tell this, and I'm like going around. But I want to say this thing about Eden real quick, which is that like he's even though I haven't seen him, actually, no, I saw him last time I was in town. I want to get him on the show very soon. But whenever I'm in a moment of crisis, I picture Eden's voice like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like make the hologram, and then I have him talk to me with the advice that I know I need to receive. I know, because, it's one of those things where it's like, I just, I don't know, man. I feel like lately I need a lot of advice, and it's funny when you're talking about the retrograde stuff. It's been a fucked up couple of days, to be honest with you, and it's been like I used to, because I didn't make the art thing work. I got good in New York, but I couldn't get arrested in New York. I couldn't sell anything in New York. You know what I mean? And for a while I was like bitter, and then when LA started to pay me, and I used to make fun of people who moved to LA, and now I love LA so much, and I've always loved, by the way, for all my LA listeners, also I'm a local, I want to say I've always respected the actual like local culture, you know what I mean, when we're talking about, especially, obviously for me, like my entryway into hearing about Los Angeles was through rap music, was through NWA, through Kendrick, through Snoop, all that stuff. So that I always like had a great affinity for, and I understood it because I think that music that happens in the sun and where you drive has similarities no matter what city you're in. And then there's music that happens in vertical buildings in the cold, and that sounds different. That's why New York...
You can literally feel how the music gets made, for sure.
No, 100%. And it's like, what I want to say the other day when you said you're so New York, it's like, my family immigrated from Colombia to Queens. In the house somewhere around here. That's where my dad first came to America, and my tias still live here. My parents moved back, but they moved to Florida to have kids, right? And that's where I was born, and so I learned to speak English from them. They're New Yorkers. They got here when they were like 13, right? I think about that sometimes, like, bro, if you drop me off in Shanghai at 13, I don't know if I would learn that language, let alone become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. I don't know, right? But so I learned to speak English from them, but I was in the South, right? And so, like, I would go to these studios, and I thought I sounded like ludicrous, and they were like, "Sir, you do not." You know what I mean? So that's the thing about like loving yourself and understanding the tonality of your voice and shit like that. But in terms of the New York shit, I think the most New York thing about me is that I don't claim to be from New York because I'm literally not. Because I feel like, back in the day, there was this, you know that this story is dated because it involves Facebook. But I was literally, there was some sort of Facebook post and they were like, drop the names of like New York native Latino playwrights. And people dropped my name like 30 times. And I had to go in there and be like, you guys, the one thing I never want to do is pretend anything unless I'm being paid for it in front of a camera. I was like, yo, I have ties here. I had 10 years here. I have, there's a block full of Colombians that, I could go to here and that I see 3 times a year, but I'm not from here, right? I'm from Florida. And then my friend, shout out Ren's friend of the show, she was like, you crocodile soup eating motherfucker. And I was like, I mean, correct. But it was funny because recently Safia was like, yo, but like you are a New Yorker, right? Like you can't like, and she was like, I think the most New York thing about you is that you gatekeep from yourself.
In true New York fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like bullying myself. I'm like, you're not even.
Also, like as an artist, it's one thing to just like never want to say the wrong thing because like when I get really, really big, I never want nobody to like drop a story and say like he's been accepting all these flowers from New York and he's really not from New York. Like I never want people to have anything to say about me, so I get that.
No, exactly. And it's like, yo, I just want to be specific. You know what I mean? Like the thing I say lately, it's like I have dual citizenship. You know what I mean? Like all of the plays and the stories that I wrote when I was like really figuring it out were New York stories. And I didn't write Florida until I had enough distance from it that I understood it. And that was, with this HBO pilot that didn't go anywhere. But like, that's when I learned. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like in a way, those are the 2 languages I speak, But going back to the retrograde stuff, it's interesting what you're saying about like people circling the block and like things coming back from the past. And the reason why I started out talking about beef is like, to be honest with you, my heart is heavy right now. We had this, I want to tell this story in a way where I'm only talking about me without putting other people's business out there. But so a mutual friend I had a friend back in the day, right? Who I went to college with, who actually introduced me and Safia. And now me and Safia are married 5 years, right? And this friend, there was a time where they were my best friend. Well, they're one of my best friends, right? And they had a lot of energy, this person. They, and what I mean by a lot of energy is that like they had 3 lives. They had a life as a theater artist. They had a life as a poet. They had a life as a dancer. And how me and Safia sort of like made eye contact with each other across the lake or whatever was that Safia was their very, very close poet friend. And I was their very, very close theater friend, right? And I owe them everything because that's the love of my life. And they introduced me to the love of my life. And now we're married. You know what I mean? I really do think that Safia is like my soulmate. You know what I'm saying? And so in a way, I have to have gratitude to that person no matter what. Right? But we had a really big falling out. And it was kind of around the time that me and Safia got together. And I don't want to like, this is not that, but it was very heartbreaking, right? And
friendship breakups hurt more than relationship breakups.
I agree 100%. Say more about why you think that.
Because it's a different level of I got you. It's a different level of vulnerability in friendships. So there's a lot of things that I may not share with my partner that I share with my friend. They've seen me in all of my seasons, angry, happy, sad, mad, rejoicing. So when you lose that person who is technically your person, It's like having to start that again from the ground up with a stranger is so disheartening. There's so much ground that has been covered that you cannot authentically cover again without like trying too hard. Like there's just certain things that you and your friend have that nobody else will understand. There's a look, there's a word you guys say that takes you back to a memory of a place of, it's one of those things. But I've also learned in my adulthood that sometimes friendship breakups are necessary, and though they hurt, they kind of build this barrier that we need to grow, because sometimes we're super dependent on those friendships and we don't understand how dependent we are on them until we grow away from them, and then we're like, we can do this on our own too. Does it hurt? Hell yeah. Do I miss them? Hell yeah. Do I want to send you a meme sometimes? Sure, but I can't do this anymore. So yeah, they kind of suck.
Man, I think it's so funny, man. Like, we hadn't seen each other in mad long. We have so much in common. Like, I think friendship breakups are so much more difficult than romantic breakups, And I would say because they are almost more romantic. Like, I think that all relationships are made of the same stuff. And it's like, yo, the amount of text messages and letters, and it's like, that's romance, And when this friend, and look, this friend, it wasn't just like me. Like, they were robbing motherfuckers. They were really wilding the fuck out.
They were going through spiritual warfare. And that's one of the things, like, you have to realize sometimes when it's not you, they're just having like a really deep battle within themselves, and you have to remove yourself from it before you get the fallout of it, because you guys are so close. It will trickle down. Like, you have to realize where friendships are draining you and not feeding you anymore. Not saying that you should only be friends with people that feed you, right? We have times where we're going to need each other and support each other. But if it's a constant, like, this is just really taking me to my worst version of myself, then I can't be here anymore.
I have an 80-20 rule, because I think that in this age, a lot of young, and again, we're like slightly different generations, but I do think that, do you consider yourself a millennial, or what, are you Gen Z? Do you not, or is that term, this is like, I'm showing that I'm washed.
No, baby, I was born in 1998, so I'm still a 90s baby.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was 10 years. I'm actually only 8 years older than you. Got it. Oh, it's 10 years ago that, okay, I'm understanding. No, bro, like, I went to Florida public schools, and then I went to conservatory for 9 years. I cannot do math. Like, when the check comes and it's $100 and they say 20%, that's the only math that I know.
But it's like, my whole thing is like, when have I ever used y equals mx plus b in real life? Never.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer. Shout out to engineers. But it's like this thing with friendship, right? It's like, I don't know, man. We took the end of that friendship very hard, but it also wasn't. And by the way, as a man who was often wrong, I always think it's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever there's something in an interaction, I go, even if someone's being a dick to me, and I'm changing this. The policy.
I'm going to say, this is where I draw the line, Chris, because I never think it's me.
Well, we're very different people, right? And I think maybe you're less wrong than me, but
like, I take accountability, and I think that's always great, but don't blame yourself. And sometimes it's really not your fault. But in the broad spectrum of things, when you're telling me how this friendship ended, it was like right after you met Safia, I'm thinking maybe the universe needed you to make space for all the love that you had to give her, and you would have been pouring too much into the friendship and couldn't pour it into her at the same time, if that makes sense.
Normally I would be inclined to disagree with that, because I feel like we need so much community, right? But in this exact moment, I think I could agree with that, because, I mean, it's also a thing when, like, a friend introduces you, it's like,
part of you guys' story, right? That's always going to be that. But sometimes people have to just, like, lead you into your next chapter, and then you just leave them in the last quest.
So, yeah, and here's the thing is, like, to get to the kind of meat of the matter here was, like, long story short, this individual, it wasn't just like, oh, I don't like your energy. Like, they were doing bad shit to a lot of people. And the whole community, because this was a person who was a beloved artist. This is a person who was a beloved artist, a beloved writer, all this stuff. And I was like, God damn, bro. Like, this is not just like a mismatch of personality. Like, this is a person who's doing harm in the world. You know what I mean? And we hadn't talked for mad long. I was just like, enough, khalas, it's over. And But because I'm me, I always thought one day we're going to have a conversation. One day we're going to have some closure. And look, man, I love a postmortem. I love I love an apology. I love giving an apology. I love receiving an apology. This individual has never taken accountability for anything ever. Like, I've never seen it happen. In fact, like, I've seen them like literally be like, I'm not accountable to anyone. It's like in like just crazy shit, right? But I always thought that we would have that. I always thought like, okay, maybe it's a maturity thing. Maybe in 10 years, 20 years, we'll meet at an award show and we'll be like, hey, remember that? Or maybe we'll have a tense interaction or whatever. I don't know, right? But an interaction, right? And I actually had seen them because they were in LA. I knew they were in LA. And I kind of was like expecting. I was like, okay, all right, the circles get smaller. I'm going to run into them. I had run into them like for 2 seconds, and it was literally like I saw them. I actually like when you love someone and you've been with like them as a friend, I recognized their elbow. And I was like, nah. And I just looked the other way, and I was like, that was a prelude to an interaction that maybe will happen 10 years from now. And they killed themselves like 5 to 6 days ago. And I'm really in this place where I'm like, I feel robbed. I feel heartbroken. I feel guilty on some level for not patching that up, even though it wasn't my fault. And I feel like I'm having this moment. That's when you said the retrograde stuff. I wanted to share this story because I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
my condolences. First of all, my condolences. But second of all, especially with death is hard in every sense, whether you guys are speaking or not. I don't want you to carry that burden of what if for the rest of your life. There's always going to be a what if. If you guys had started speaking and you didn't speak to him that morning, you're going to say, well, what if I would have spoke to you that morning? It's always going to be that. The friendship dissolved years ago. Like, it had dissolved a really long time ago. And even you being in that space where you guys like seen each other, it might have been just something where you maybe didn't need the connection to be so tight again because it would have been even harder than it is for you now. So it might have been the universe protecting you from you. And I don't want you to give yourself that burden. It's unfortunate and it's going to hurt and it's going to sting. But I want you to give yourself grace.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And this is why I wanted to bring it up, because I just like, I feel like when we speak, you have so much wisdom about how to move through the world in relation to other people. And it's funny because someone else from a totally different part of my life, from the business end of my life, who like really fucked me on some business shit and like pretended to be my friend and like stole some money from me. But this is a person I was never best friends with. This is another person who was just like, I had legit beef with on some just regular, LA shit. They died recently.
Beef on some LA shit is serious. LA beef is no joke.
I don't mean like in that way. I should say Hollywood. I should say Hollywood, not like I don't mean like gang shit. I mean like Hollywood shit, right? But that person died, and I remember being like, yo, first of all, I don't wish ill on anybody. And I think that no human being is, well, there might be a couple war criminals that I would like, I wouldn't mind that. But in the regular realm of everyone who's not Netanyahu, right? I'm like, I want everyone to heal and to get better, and I want us to like figure it back out. You know what I'm saying? So I was making this list the other day of like people who I'm not talking to and they know why. That's the list. And that's my criteria for beef, by the way. I'm like, people who I'm not talking to and it ain't a mystery. Everyone know, and I know, right?
When I stop talking to somebody, I change their name to a tombstone, and they go to the funeral of my contacts, like the graveyard of my contact list. So there's like a whole section of several tombstones, and I don't know who is who because it doesn't matter because I'll never speak to them again. So if they do call, it's a tombstone, and it's like you never know which tombstone is calling. But if you have a tombstone, I'm not going to answer it.
Okay, see? Now, the question which I should have asked would have been like, how many tombstones are in your phone?
Too many to count.
Yo, more than 20, less than 20?
More than 50.
Can I give you a hug?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, God damn. I mean, in the long run, I think probably, but I need to take that in for a second. Yo, you see that?
Literal graveyard. Like when you get to that section of my contacts, it's just like keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. But it's like it's so much fun because you don't know who it is. So if they do call, like sometimes I'll answer. I'm like, "Who's this?" They're like, "You don't know who this is," and I'm like, "No, you're dead to me." And they'll be like, "Oh, this is so and so." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Back to the graveyard you go.
I am a man who's rarely speechless.
And there's like no chance for resurrection. Once you're in the graveyard, you're done. Like I can be mad at you and like we'll still talk, but once I change you to a tombstone, there is no coming back from that. Like you're gone.
Wow. You know? Yeah.
Protecting my peace at all costs. Like I'm so serious about that.
I feel that. It's interesting, man. I do believe Safi used to teach this workshop, this poetry workshop, where she would, I forget what song. It might have been something in the Meek Mill Drake beef, where she was teaching both those records, and basically the premise was that a diss record and a love poem have the exact same structure. Because in order for something to be a proper diss, you have to really know them. And so really a diss is a love letter. And what I always say about rap music is like every time there's a diss, I don't care if it's Ether or, you know what I mean, like not like us, right? In order for that to work, you are a grown individual sitting there in your room writing a poem about another individual, right? Like
doing research, like taking the time, doing the work, doing research, you're invested.
100%. And it's like, you have to know something about that person. And it's just like, I don't know, man. All my friends who've died literally, because I want to make a distinction between the tombstone, you're dead to me, and, you know, and people who've died in real life. Like my friends who've died in real life, like I text them occasionally to be like, part of me is like, I wonder if someone has their number. And part of me is like, I just feel like I miss them so much that I like wonder if it like gets there right. When people
saying like, are you just saying everything that you want to say? Or are you just saying like, hey, what's up? Because I think it would be super therapeutic if you kind of just sent a text to the number, just saying everything you wish you could have said to them while they were still here, and then leaving it alone.
I usually just say I miss you, I'm thinking of you, we had so much work to do. You know, I think about my late homie Owiso Odero was a beautiful, beautiful actor. And I think about him a lot, and I'm like, God damn, bro, like I had 9 movies for you. I had 9 plays for you. I think about my friend Ed Vasallo at this content boss, and I'm like, bro, like, you changed my life. I wasn't, you know what I mean? That guy produced my first short film, and he like taught me so much. And so like, those are like, in a way, and look, obviously, I want to be clear here because we are under the sky, under God's eye. I want to be clear what I'm saying here.
As the sun shines brighter as you say that.
Yo, really? Oh, you know, alhamdulillah, bro. But it's like, you know, I want to be clear that I obviously like, I'm scared to even, what I'm saying is that obviously it's more painful to lose someone who you were actually close with. I want everyone to live forever. I want us to all be vampires with no blood. You know what I mean? Like, I want us to be like, I can't even, the people who are close to me, I can't even fathom that. And the flip side of that coin is that when someone who's universally loved passes, it's so easy to mourn. My homie called me, actually 2 seconds before you got here, I was getting the ladder to go upstairs, and and my ex-girlfriend called me, and we're like close, and she hit me and was like, yo. And I usually don't get just a yo from her, right? So I was like, what's poppin'? And she was like, is it true? And I was like, oh, fuck. She just heard about our other friend. And I called her, and she's on a plane, and we talked, and I basically said, I was like, oh, you don't even know this, but like me and that individual, like, we haven't been good. It's been bad blood for like 6 years, right? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And then I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay, I'll call you when I get back to New York, whatever. And then as I was getting off the phone, they said, hey, I love you. And I hate that this is the reason why I'm like reaching out to be like, I love you. But it made me think about the life is terminal. My dad said this the other day. He said, life is terminal. You know, it's not permanent. And so I appreciate that she said that. And I was like, yo, I love you, bro. Like, I've always loved you. Like, I appreciate that, right? And you got to tell the people you love that you love them at all times, right? And before we hung up the phone, I was like, when I say I love you, what I mean is that if you were to die, I would hijack the mic at that funeral and talk for 90 minutes. And I hope that we were there for 3. And I hope that if I die and you're still alive, if my funeral is not 7 hours long and hilarious, the only reason that my funeral is not that is that if we all died, okay?
At one time. But I think that's like the beauty of even having things and having these platforms like this is because you get to capture moments. So it's like you get to keep these things forever. Like worst case scenario, something really terrible happens. But you can always go back to these nuggets with the people that you love or the people that you really care about on camera, having these authentic conversations. And it's like comforting to watch, like soul food.
Yo, 100%. It's funny because in this park over here, when my grandfather was around, hold on, there's a little train. Honestly, I love the train shit. I didn't want to give the grandfather story, the abuelito story during the chugga 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 chugga. Anyway, so my grandfather, he was in a wheelchair at the time and he was blind, and I was the first time that I'd ever tried to make, it was the second time I ever tried to make a music video. It was the first time I tried to direct a video, right? The first video, shout out Philip Walter, friend of the show, Berlin, German superstar. I see that guy everywhere. If you guys know Philip C. Walter, one of the illest actors, he shot my first fancy video called Dustin Ash. I'm actually going to put a little piece of it in here if anyone wants to see. It's kind of crazy. The second one was that DP. We were friends, right? And so then I was like, he introduced me to her, but then he had gone out of town somewhere. And so I was just talking to her, the DP, and I was like, yo, let's go shoot a video in a story and I'll direct it, right? Or maybe she was supposed to direct it. I think she was supposed to direct it. This is what happened. And I called every favor in the world. I called there was 60 Colombians in the park. And my homie was there breathing fire. My other homie who passed was there in a suit. All this stuff was happening. It was really cool shit, right? My another ex-girlfriend of mine was there playing the cello. It was cool as fuck, right? But I don't know. I didn't know that much about filmmaking. I was very, very young. And the DP got mad in the middle of it because I was kind of rushing her. Not because I wanted to rush, but because there was 60 people who are not actors, old people, babies, and people were getting a little restless. And I was like, we're gonna have to just shoot. And then she was like, you know what? You want to direct? You fucking direct. And then she just walked off set. And it was the hottest day of the summer. I ended up getting heat stroke that day. It was the first time I ever got. I'm from Florida, and the first time I got heat stroke was in New York, right? And the video ended up sucking because I didn't know how to direct, and she said she was gonna direct, and then she just abandoned me. And it was really. Then the next day she was like, yo, you have 14 hours to come get the footage. I'm deleting it. It was fucked up. And I don't know why she did that because it was cool. We were cool. Yeah, but the reason I bring that up is because the coolest part of it was that my grandfather was in it. And I got this footage, and he's no longer with us. Que descansa en paz. Exactly. And I literally and it's interesting, right? Because one thing we both know as actors is that you kind of got to pretend the camera's not there, right? But he couldn't see. So he didn't know where the camera's at. So he's being natural, right? And I was pushing around in the wheelchair, and I was rapping and shit. And then at the very end, I wish we'd gotten this on camera. But basically, when the camera cut, he looked up and he goes, puedo aplaudir, can I clap? And I have that. And I'm like, it's just, obviously, we set out to be artists, for selfish reasons, for being I want to be somebody, right, in the world or whatever. But what I'm realizing is when you're always making stuff, particularly in the audio visual, you're also an anthropologist. You don't think about it, but you're like, yo, I have recordings of my voice from when I was 16 years old, right? Real songs. And now I have footage of my grandfather in some of the last years of his life, right? So it's as I embark on this shit, the Chris Gabo show, whatever, this was the whole point. I mean, obviously there's this career angle and how these aspirations for it and stuff. But it's also I want to have deep conversations. I want to have records. I want to have records of my friends and my family and what matters to us, you know?
I think people have lost the art of filming things because before, like, people used to have like home videos and shit like that, right? But now people have this thing where it's like they're filming things just for social media and not for personal, not for the rest of the generations of your family to see who they are, where they come from. It's more so to just put on like the internet. Like, it touched me when you talked about your grandfather, because I had a clip of my grandfather too, because he used to always say these cool things. My grandfather's my best friend in the whole wide world. Let's just put that out there. He was like my example of everything, of a man, of a father, of everything. And when I did my documentary.
You have a documentary? Is it out? No. What the fuck?
It's on my Instagram. My feelings are hurt that you haven't seen it.
Well, I will rectify that today.
But it's actually just part one. It's just a part of, it's about my rebrand. So it's called The Egypt Era, and it's just about me rebranding myself as a mom and the things that I'm doing and why it was so important to me to shoot things where I'm shooting them. Oh my gosh, you really didn't see it. I'm so hurt, but I'll get back to that. So I'm always recording my grandfather when I was younger. Like, I just always recorded things he said, conversations we had. And I remember, like, maybe about a few months before he passed, I had enrolled in Mackie Flanagan acting school in New York City. And I went and I told him I was so excited, and he's like, it's your time, like, you're made for show business. My grandfather was my biggest fan. He just knew I would be a star my entire life. And I recorded him that day, like, saying, like, it's your time now. So in my documentary, I had them patch him saying that in the beginning of it, like, over, like, it's your time now. This is meant for you. It's your time. And I didn't tell anybody in my family. So when we watch it as a family together, my mom's like, is that my dad's voice? And I'm like, yeah. And we all just started like boohoo crying. And everybody's like, where did you get that from? And I'm like, I've had it for years, like through several phones, through several laptops. Like, this is a clip that I've never lost. So I think it's so important to capture those things, but just to keep them in a safe place. Like, literally since the day my son was born, I made an email and I sent every picture and video that I've ever taken of him in his life to that email. So one day I can kind of get them all together on a disc or in an album or something of some sort. Just in case I ever lose my phone, I want to have all of my moments with him in one place. So I think it's important to really, like, keep those things.
Well, first of all, that's extremely moving, and if I knew you had a documentary, I would have fucking watched it. I don't miss no modern icon drops. Okay, so if you have do you have a newsletter?
No, I do not have a newsletter. I do have a blog called The Melanin Confessions. I started in 2017. It's a female empowerment blog, but it was really more so to get the youth back into reading. So we have like discourse with men and women. But actually, my first drop in the new year is my book. So I have a 12-step book called Mompreneur Moves. It's called Making Moves Between Naps. And it's basically about how to navigate being a mompreneur, which is an entrepreneur mom, and being like a really dope parent to your kids. So it's 12 steps that help me navigate and organize my life on a daily basis while still being a cool mom and still creating content and doing all of the things. So that's coming out really soon.
Yo, cop that. At Modern Icon. Is that it?
At the.modern.icon. Yeah.
Ooh, that never. I want to go on record of the fact that I did it 3 times and never ever hit her. But when she leaned in, I was like, okay.
And I'm leaning in because he's always telling me to lean in. So I'm like, let me make sure I lean in.
I'm so sorry. I think it's better when I do it with the left hand like this.
Yes, it's better.
So at the Modern Icon, all one word, dude. Follow Egypt Smith, man. It really she is. Can I make a recommendation as a friend?
Sure.
You should get a Substack.
Okay.
Because people want it, like, when you have some sort of Substack or something else, but a newsletter, then I just feel like so much you never know what's going to get like sometimes I'll text a friend something that I think it's been all over Instagram, whatever. And they'll be like, oh, you have a podcast? I'm like, oh man, not everyone. It's not just one channel, but email, because it's attached to people's work shit. It's the people who actually want to know what's going on. Like, if I got, Modern Icon email every month or something, I would love to know what's going on with you.
Me too. It became a thing of like cross promoting so many different things because I'm doing so much at once, and I didn't want to overwhelm people because it was a point in time where I literally had 3 separate clothing businesses that I was running at the same time, and they all had different vibes, different feels, different everything. And I was like, this is too much because I'm giving them this, and then I'm doing brand calls. So during COVID, I did brand building calls. So I helped over 75 businesses kickstart. And I'm posting these people's brands as well. So I think sometimes people are like, is this your business? Is this somebody else's? Whose stuff is this? We don't know. So a lot of times when I say something like, oh, you guys didn't see this, and they're like, we didn't even know it was yours. We thought it was somebody else's. But I also love the beauty of people not knowing things are mine sometimes, because they just go into it with an unbiased heart and purchase and enjoy it. And they're like, oh shit, I didn't even know it was yours.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think a thing that you and I have in common is that we have a lot of ways that we want to communicate with the world. And please. What's the documentary is called what again?
The Egypt Era.
The Egypt Era Part 1. Wow, I want to hear more about that. First, just to close the circle, when you were talking about your grandfather, I was talking about my grandfather, and you said like the art. People don't. This is what I'm learning. Is like, and I'm a late bloomer to Instagram. Like I didn't get Instagram till I don't know 2016, and I was.
I've had Instagram for a little while now. I've gone through a few different names, but I've been the modern icon. No. So I was really originally Respect the Fashion. That was my first ever Instagram name. And then I got this really cute shirt from a store that I will not say the name of, but it said like be a modern day icon or some shit like that on it. And I was like, I'm making a new Instagram. I need a name. And one of my really good friends, Dejan Austin, he's a super dope artist. He does like graffiti throughout the city. He's so cool. He was like, do that. And I was like, what? And he was like, that. And then I was like, that doesn't make sense. So I was like, I'm going to play with it. And like a few periods later in school, I'm making an Instagram page. Had no business doing it. But I put like the modern icon. I was like, I don't like the way it looks. So I'm going to separate it. So I put like the dots in between. And everybody didn't really know what it meant, honestly. And then it was a really like big cookout that summer. And people were calling me about that. Like, modern icon. And I was like, me? What? And it just stuck forever. And then as life progressed, everybody was like, you know everybody, you're like the hood Oprah. And I was like, I like that. And then most recently, people started calling me E. Diddy, pre-allegations. And and I liked it because I'm like, from what we knew of Diddy.
Pre-revelations.
Yeah, but back then we knew of Diddy, to just help so many people. And he was such an entrepreneur and he has his hands in everything, literally. But, but he was just like, he had so much going on. So everybody was like, oh my God, like E. Diddy, like that's so cool. And then it was so insane because literally like right after we say it in the documentary, maybe about like a year later, I go to the Heinz Institute at Iona University and they're playing the documentary for the kids. And I'm like, yeah, some people call me Hood Oprah, some people call me E. Diddy. And the kids are like, and I'm like, stop, cut the cameras. Like, no, guys, this was before. We shot this before. So it was so uncomfortable. But yeah, I've had a few aliases.
Was the Hood Oprah ever like at or is it just the
at on Twitter now?
Okay, because I thought I had seen that. Nah, man, I've had like so many names, bro. Like I've only had like two. Well, when I was a child, right? The first like time I had, so when I started making rap music, basically, I was never thinking, even though I was writing graffiti at the time, I wasn't thinking about letters. I was thinking about sounds. Slim Shady, hotter than I said a twin. I was like, if it sounds good like that, it'll work, right? So the first, okay, this is a name reveal. You were vulnerable with me, so I'm gonna be vulnerable with you. The first, concept that I ever had, right, was like, oh shit, that's the Amtrak. What's up, Amtrak? I wonder if that's going to Boston or what. Chugga 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 chugga. Honestly, that shit is music to my ears. So if anyone's listening to LA right now, is like, oh, I miss the city. Tune into the Chris Gabo show. We got one episode that is gonna give you the feeling. It's authentic. It's what we call diegetic sound. Anyway.
It's like ASMR, New York ASMR.
It literally is New York ASMR. I've always been a conceptual cat, and I don't even mean that as it's not even that cool. It's actually maybe loser shit. But the concept I had early on was I was like, okay, because again, I was writing graffiti, and I was like, graffiti to me at the time was about, well, I think a lot of graffiti artists would say, what was your boy's name who said he still writes in the city?
Dejan, but he calls himself Tsunami Haji.
Tsunami Haji, right? I want to see what Tsunami Haji thinks about it. Maybe we'll have him on the show.
You really should. He lives in Queens.
What? We're in Queens.
I don't know.
Okay, yo. What I'm learning is that Harlem to Queens, if you drive, it's 2 seconds. Right? So that's the like, now all my friends, like, I'll go to Harlem for breakfast if I'm in Queens, because I'm like, at least in Astoria, right? It's like, did. But anyway, you know, getting up is about fame, right? It's about seeing your name in bright lights. It's like Roxy, right? And I at the
Always the go-to name, Roxy.
because of Chicago.
It's always the go-to.
Have you ever seen Chicago?
No.
I've never ever seen it either. I only have seen like. No, but I know the songs because
I feel so bad for not seeing it. You're like, oh, me neither. I'm like, okay.
I'm not a musical theater head, but my little sister had the CDs. Shout out Karina Nunez, friend of the show, sister of the show. She's gonna be here soon. But you're gonna be in Georgia. You're gonna have Georgia on your mind. But I know some of the joints from that, and one of the joints is like dun 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 dun, honey, today, Roxy. I don't know the other words, but anyway. So like fame, right? And so my whole thing was I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like. You know, it wasn't that original, but I was like, I'm going to be shrouded. I'm going to be the unknown entity because you can't see me, blah, blah, all this stuff. And so the first rap name was The Unknown Entity. Terrible name.
I actually really like that.
You're so sweet. Here's $10. Yeah, see, you would have made it better, right? You're the branding, right? And then I was like, the first song that I did was called Avenue Drifter, right? And you know, it was like about my whole thing because I was on tour very early, and I felt like I was like, you know, always traveling the land with my backpack and just like discovering new places or whatever and drifting back and forth and so then I was like, oh, and I'm always moving and it's anonymous, right? And then I had a friend who was like, oh, anonymous, but you can't just be anonymous, right? And so we had, the whole thing was like anonymous and on I must go. This is like some really like, you know, fucking Rubik's Cube, like lyrical, spiritual, miracle rapper shit. But, you know, and then I wrote this chorus like anonymous and on I must go into the some, gaga da. So I liked how it sounded, right? I'll plug that in. It'll be interesting. I wish I could show it to you. It's actually... No, I'm going to be on that, right? Once I get my full setup, I'm going to be able to like do it live, right? But so it was anonymous and on I must, which like sounded cool to my ear. It sounds less cool to my ear right now, but it sounded cool to my ear then. But it was impossible. It's like you can't put that on a flyer. Jay-Z, Pusha T, MF Doom. Those are the names that work. And those are names that also work with iconography, right? But I started kind of like making a little name for myself, right? And then I started writing narrative, right? You know, plays and whatever. And then I was like, okay, well then I have two different things, right? So my real name is Christopher Gabriel Nunez, right? And I was like, well, that sounds cool because it's three names. It's like John Patrick Shanley, Stephen Natalie Giergis, right? I wanted to be in that club. Kids listening at home, let me tell you something, a little secret for you. They're not accepting new applications to the 3-name club. So if you go, I'm Christopher Gabriel Nunez, they'll be like, the play's by Chris Nunez, and they'll print the flyer, right? So I was like, damn, all my names suck. And for Latinos, Chris Nunez is like John Smith. It's like, it's, you know? So as I was getting better at the craft, this is why we should have been friends earlier, because I needed some marketing help. Because when I got into Yale, I was like, oh, okay, I have a website called ChristopherGabrielNunez.com. I have a website called anonymousandoнимust.com. And yeah, you should laugh at me because honestly it was wet. And then I was like, God, this is not working. Like even I knew if I was giving myself advice, I was like, hey kid, those names aren't going to be famous. It doesn't matter how good you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? And then right before, and, you know, then, because, okay, so Donald Glover went to NYU Dramatic Writing a few years before me. I sent him a message on MySpace, bro. He didn't respond. But he was already kind of like popping. But the Childish Gambino, Donald Glover stuff, my only note, and far be it for me to have a note for like one of the most talented people in the world, but I went, oh, you should just pick one name.
Confused as if it was like the same person or not for a really long time. I'm like, these dudes look alike. And then when This Is America came out, I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. And I was like, oh, okay, double whammy. That's him.
They look alike because it's the same guy.
Yeah, it terrified me, honestly. I was just like, because all this time I thought it was two different people. Because I guess he was using one for like acting and one for music.
Exactly. Okay.
See him do acting shit. He was Donald Glover.
And writing.
Yeah, and I was just like, that's not, that is. Wait, so the Childish Gambino that I heard on all the other songs, that was him? And Yeah, just putting like face to name, it blew my mind.
Okay, so this is, in a way, this validates my decision because I went, Chris, you got to pick one name. And also, who I am as a rapper and who I am as a writer is not different. It's the same guy. I'm not like doing a voice. It's like, this is me, that's also me. And then the decision that I came to was, I was like, okay. And it was, I had just written my first episode of television, and so I had to pick a name for the WGA. And I was like, okay, this is the moment, babe. Anonymous Anonymous has to die. That is the worst name in history, right? Christopher Gabriel Nunez, I could maybe force people to, like, by the force of the pen, be like, you have to address me that way. I don't want to force people. It's like you want something to be easy, right? And do you know who Gabriel Garcia Marquez is? He's a Colombian, right? He wrote, 100 Years of Solitude. Anyway, he's a Colombian writer, right? Who people like love in Colombia, and some people love him here, right? And his nickname was Gabo. And it's a diminutive of Gabriel. And my dad used to call me CG, right? Christopher Gabriel. And I knew that I was like, I need a rap name that sounds more like my real name. Like, that's why Kendrick Lamar is cool, right? But I also needed a writer name that sounded more like a rap name. And then I was like, oh shit, Chris Gabo. And my friend, shout out Creature, friend of the show, Creaturenomics, from the band Rebelmatic, one of the best New York bands. He was like, okay, you have to, again, go back to the old rules and use it in a rap. Gabo. And I was like, oh, it's an ad. Like, when you say, I was like, okay, it's simple. And people cut off the Chris because it's a crowded market for Chris's, right? So I was like, all right, that is now bridges the gap. And then I started thinking like a graffiti artist again. And I was like, letters, Gabo, CH.
I always thought about my signature. Like, if I sign something,
100%.
how can I do it? Is it going to look cool on paper? What is this going to be like? So, like, the modern icon for me was like TMI. And it just worked.
TMI.
Yeah.
Yo, you honestly, here's the thing, yo. The thing about hip hop shit is like, it's all about style. Everything, you need, and like, I think for me, I'm in the journey where I'm now just having to think about visual and branding in a way that, because I was in this like kind of anti-everything, kind of how I came up. I wasn't thinking about all that stuff. I thought it was whack. And now I'm like, no, man, like, you have to have as much, everything has to be art. And that's the thing. If I say the word marketing or content to myself, I'll throw myself off this fucking thing. And it's not even tall enough to die. I would just get very hurt, But like, if I go, oh, it's all art, then I'm into it, do you know the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh? He is an interesting cat.
Question marks over my head every time he asks me if I know somebody. I say no. Just put like the
He's a Buddhist monk and a thinker. I got familiar with his work when my mom was reading a book called Living Buddha, Living Christ, which is kind of about how to, like, sort of combine the messages of Jesus Christ and the messages of the Buddha and into like one thing. But one of the things that he says all the time that I believe he's passed, but anyway, Thich Nhat Hanh, what he would say is that the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. So the idea is like, and it's a challenging idea, especially for Americans, where it's like, okay, if I wash the dishes carelessly, I will treat my wife carelessly. If I do my art with rigor and integrity, I will treat my friends with rigor and integrity, right? So it's a thing I think about. And how it helps me often is in this thing of like, look, my primary human mode is art. So if I can artistically wash the dishes, if I can artistically approach, my loved ones with care, if I can artistically think about the whatever the capital stuff I have to do, the branding, the marketing, if I can make it art, Christopher will be happy. I also had a teacher who used to say, your problem is that you can't do something if you're not in love with it. So your thing in life is that you're going to have to fall in love with everything. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to fall in love with sweeping the fucking gutters. You know what I'm saying?
Literally. And I think that's why I like have had so many different businesses and transcended into so many things, because once I'm done with it, like once my spirit isn't in it no more, I'm done. Like I have to retrieve. And it's hard because it's like the people may love it still, but I don't love it anymore. So it's like, that's the battle. Like, do I want to do it because they love it? Do I want to do it because I love it? I'm going to choose me.
Listen, moving with love as a dominant form, I think, is one of the most beautiful ways that you can go through life, And I appreciate you. First of all, I just want to say, as we sort of wrap things up here, like, I just I appreciate your friendship so much. And it's funny because like you were hitting me and I forgot the first time we were gonna do it on Zoom, and then you kept being like, let's do it, and I was like, yo, I reciprocate energy, yo. If you're hitting me up, I'm like, yo, I'm going to make it happen. So it is very, very it's such an honor. I always say, time is the one thing that you cannot get back, right? And in the wake of all this death and all these passings, it's like, I try to think like that every day, no matter what. But obviously, you're newly attuned to it in the wake of loss of human life, and I just want to thank you so much for making the time. Is there? Oh, come on, man.
I think it was so important for me to do it. It just felt right, and I go by like how I feel and feelings. And we tried to do it before. I was like, this feels so good, and it was like such a reunion. But I really felt like we just needed like a prep.
100%.
And so now that it happened now, I feel like it happened the way it was supposed to.
100%.
Yeah. So
as we wrap up here, you are a manager as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm a few things, right? So I like to call myself a multi-hyphenate creative. I'm a culture curator of sorts. And that's one of my biggest difficulties is trying to narrow down what and who I am in 2 words, because there's such a big spectrum to what I do. But I am managing one of my really good friends. His name is Frage, the real Frage. He's a really dope artist, a lyricist out of Harlem. His music is so dope. I believe in his vision wholeheartedly. We've been friends for a really long time. And I was always just kind of like throwing stuff out. Like he would send me music and I'm like, okay, you should do your video like this. You could do this. And I was like, maybe I'll come on like as a creative director. And I was like, no, friends, business, it gets sticky. So then we just kept having the conversation, and then I took him to CultureCon with me, which is an event that I go to every year. It's like a creative homecoming. They have it at the Brooklyn Navy Yards every year. They have one in LA too, actually.
Tell me, I'll go with
yes.
you. I'll come to one in Brooklyn and LA.
Yeah, so it's usually in October here. I'm not sure if they're going back to LA this year, but they are. It's usually like in June, so I'll definitely keep you posted. And it's literally like 2 days of just networking, creators, content. Like it's just all of the things. It's a super dope event. And I took him with me, and we just decided then like we need to do this. We need to partner up. And after that, it was just out of here. So yeah, I'm really proud of him.
And he dropped a freestyle today on all platforms, or just Apple Music?
It's on Apple Music right now. Yeah, it's called Frage Fridays. The actual Frage, F-R-A-Z, Fridays, Volume 1. This is actually a part of a long-form series we're doing, so it's going to be a bunch of freestyles that he's dropping. I would prefer you guys watch the video, too, on YouTube, because it really ties into what we're doing, but it's really dope.
Well, what I can do is I can edit it in if that's okay with y'all. Yeah. So why don't you play that joint off your phone, and I'm going to edit it in post. Can you play it so I can hear it in my ear?
Truth pains, loose change. Harsh reality, I switch the way that I do things. Switching habitats, trying to change habits. Subtraction to find traction, forward ain't work. I advance when I move backwards. Pick up the pieces, focus, I keep it. They've been told me to fall off, I never leave it. Keep it a buck, you niggas Giannis. No move other than one. I'm KD stuff on the run, my reign still ain't begun. Bumping big, yeah, it's life after death. 88 John, Mike in the flesh. I look at life like it's chess. My success God waited on. The name is Frage, please don't you never ever say it wrong. Niggas sounding like killers, way all the women. And drill songs sound like Jason, man, who you kidding? A world full of lollipops won't beat me no sucker. Be careful on who you love and those you calling your brothers. Got some gears that I ain't switched to, pain that I done been through. Complicated flows, but the mess is easy, it's simple. I never took a shortcut, I never took a handout. I never jumped on backs cause I'm tall enough, I'ma stand out. Even when I was last, even when niggas fit in the fit rotation, I smile when I see him pass. It's something about original, something about my style got me standing firm in my place with integrity. Took a vow, look, always ask me what's the price of fame. If the tab is endless paper, then I'm trying to change. So, more pressure, more sessions. Trying to take off with my amigos, I can't offset them. Don't repo for the shots, I won't never stop. Rest in peace, Steph West, we gon' take it to the top. Look, AMG mode, stacking C notes. Might not got the game on lock yet, but I found the key though. I'm like the shortest one alive, but I had to survive. Black mass, proof suburban, something happened to mine. Always fiction and they diction, niggas switching cause they missing something special that ain't in them that I had from the beginning. It be high till they skydive, take a plunge. Dreams and tie-dye, glow a little different, I'm the one. Shit be fishy trying to find real. I can't click on the bait, my name, and how I carry it is signed sealed. Plus I'm different than most, it's like your post. Everybody gotta feel it, they heard me cause I'm the GOAT. Stand on business like I'm Bezos or Buffett. I need the bucket, flight to Thailand, couple thousand a trip. So I said fuck it, but fuck it. I got business to handle, long live Big Fridge, find a way to get out of mine.
That was Phrase Friday. Yo, shout out Phrase, shout out Harlem. We're out here in Queens. We got all love for every part of the city, all 5 boroughs in New Jersey, Staten Island, all that shit. Also, shout out the South, shout out Florida, shout out Los Angeles. We didn't talk about GNX at all. What? Hey, yo, listen, God damn, that sounds amazing.
I love it. I think he's just such a dope artist. I think he's such a great lyricist. I think he puts so much work into the things that he says, and he really loves rapping. And I think it shows in his art. I think he just sees it as an art form, and it shows every single time, every track. I'm always so amazed at what he's doing. Every time he sends me something, he's like, "Yo, look at what I just clicked up," and I'm like, "Yo, you're sick. Like, you're fucking sick." But it's so good, and I just can't wait for the world to see how amazing he is.
Okay, I have a proposition for the new year. I think the 3 of us need to do a joint.
Oh, like me?
Yeah. Yo, the other day, so it was Safi's birthday. Shout out Busma, shout out Quentin, shout out Rudy, shout out Maurice. We were all with all the homies in the DC part of our life, right? We were in the cabin with Safi's old friends, and Busma was like rapping at the. We basically every time we get together, we watch the same 7 music videos on a loop. And we were arguing about whether Drake's Only You freestyle is on beat. You know what I mean? We were like, and we do this every single time. And then she was rapping. And I was like, the thing about being a rap fan is if you've rapped along, all that fan stuff is at. Exactly.
You can rap.
You can rap. It's practice.
So can I counter offer that? Can we barter? I'll do the song if whenever you decide to finish writing your next show, you'll give me like the nosy neighbor role.
I would write you a lead, baby. Whatever you fucking
I'm doing the song. Let's do this.
Yo.
Right?
Yo, whatever. Yo, when I'm on, you're on.
That's
okay?
all.
Listen.
I just feel like it's so important for us to network across.
Yes.
That's my biggest thing. I feel like so often we network up and we're going like, I just want to work with the Tyler Perrys and the Issa Raes.
I want to work with you.
But I feel like when you network across, it's so much more genuine. Everybody has the same hunger. We're all trying to get it done. And I think it just flows better when you network across.
No, I mean, look, I'm here with Caroline Mariko Stucky, one of the illest DPs in the game, also one of my closest. Caroline, can we just get you in camera for 2 seconds, please? Please? Okay, all right, whatever. But anyway, just so y'all know, the motherfucker filming this is one of my best friends. We always say, I'm like, yo, 10 years of friendship is the best pre-production. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yes.
And I just, the reason I brought up the cabin stuff and Busman was because she said something, right? She was like, oh, I can't rap. And then we were talking, and we were just like, she was doing something. I forget what it was. We were talking about marriage, and she was like, you know what? I got deep throats and deep pockets. That's how I keep them. And I was like, wait, that's a bar. And then later on, I was like, yo, the way you light this candle is really like, you're ill, like, da-da-da. And then she looked at me, and she goes, it's just that I like what I like when I like it. And I was like, and I was like, hold on one goddamn minute, right? No, and so I was like, I'm going to write you something. So I went and took Deep Throats, Deep Pockets. I like what I like when I like it. And I was like, okay. And I just wrote to it, and I wrote in her voice. So I was like, how tall are you? She said something. She said 5 feet. And I said, okay, 5 nothing. Stop bluffing. And I wrote it, and I was like, where are you from? So I just like, because I know how to write a verse. And then I was like, rap that. And she was like, holy shit. And I was like, now I'm realizing my love language, if someone wants it, I will write a verse for anyone. And if we're really close, I'll write a chorus. So I know you got the pen, but if you want me to help in any way, I just want to do all I need from you, because I know y'all have the, younger people have more taste, right? I did send him a beat and never heard from him. So y'all find a beat and we'll take.
I can't wait to hear his thoughts on this. He's going to think this is the most insane idea ever, but I don't think he's going to hate it. I think he's going to be like, yeah, do it.
Let's get together in person.
Yes,
More IRL shit in 2025, inshallah. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out Phrase, shout out Harlem, shout out Queens. So much love. Thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 9 of the Chris Gabo Show. Shout out Caroline Mariko Stucky one more time. Love you guys. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour, cause home remains anonymous. Anonymous, go to where the soothsayer sacred in the sour.